The following is an article from Phoenix New Times dealing with a confessed serial killer, Tom Fitzpatrick, January 13, 1993. As a writer, all you can do is pick a street and go for the ride, putting things down as they come at you. Tim O'Brien, The Things They Carried. Judge Gregory Martin leaned forward in his chair. Martin enunciated each word with great care. The young man standing before him had admitted to taking part in 10 murders, quote unquote. Tell me what you did that makes you guilty of these 10 crimes. Judge Martin's voice sounded hollow, even hesitant. It was as though he were holding Yorick's skull in his hand and playing Hamlet on the legitimate stage. Alex Garcia, 17, a former student at Agua Fria High School, held 3 white sheets of paper in his hand. For the level of emotion Garcia displayed, his handwritten remarks might have been nothing more than a weekly essay writing assignment. Garcia is 6 foot 3 inches tall. He weighs 220 pounds. He wore a blue denim gel suit. His hair was pulled back in a ponytail. Garcia might have been portraying John Steinbeck's unfortunate semi-lunatic Lenny in Of Mice and Men. What Garcia read stands as a remarkable document. Unfilling and compressed, it is comparable in length to Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Garcia read without faltering, quote unquote. Your Honor, in June of 1991, Jonathan Duty and I got together and planned to rob and burglarize the Thai Buddhist Temple. During the planning of June, July, and early August, we obtained clothing, equipment, and guns which were to be used in the robbery and burglary. Part of our plan was to leave no witnesses. On the evening of August 9, 1991, we started to put our plan in action. Jonathan and I drove to the temple. I was armed with a 20-gauge pump shotgun. Jonathan was armed with a 22 caliber semi-automatic rifle. We entered the temple without permission, armed with the rifles I just told you about. Jonathan and I entered the temple with the intent to rob, burglarize, and kill the people inside. We were inside the temple for about 2 hours. During that time, Jonathan and I took property and money from the people living at the temple. This included cameras, stereos, jewelry, money, and other property. We didn't have permission to take this property. Before leaving the temple, Jonathan told me, no witnesses. I told him, robbery is one thing, but murder is another. Jonathan repeated to me that there could be no witnesses. He then stepped to my right and, while armed with the 22 caliber rifle, he began shooting the 9 occupants while they were laying on the floor. I began firing my 20-gauge shotgun, but fired not to kill anyone. I fired 4 rounds from my shotgun toward the 9 people laying on the floor. We both then ran from the temple with the property and money we stole. About 2.5 months later, we were arrested. Before our arrest, the police arrested 4 men from Tucson and charged them with the murders that Jonathan and I committed at the temple. These 4 men had nothing to do with the case that has become known as the Temple Homicides. Jonathan and I committed these crimes by ourselves for For this I am deeply sorry. Garcia spoke each word without displaying the slightest sign of human emotion. Not once did he falter. As he spoke, a television pool cameraman seated in the front of the jury box recorded his words. There was a still photographer in the jury box, too, acting as a pool representative for the newspapers. During Garcia's recitation, not a single person in the packed courtroom made a sound. I sat off to the side in the front row. Halfway down the aisle was Denise Wagner, the excellent daily columnist for the Phoenix Gazette. He scribbled notes rapidly with a number 2 lead pencil with his left hand. Gazette court reporter J.W. Brown, dressed in a plaid suit, was next to Wagner. Lynn DeBron of the Mesa Tribune was there too. Reporter Abraham Kwok of the Arizona Republic, wearing a pink shirt and tie, sat on the other side of the room. The remarkable Kwok, who came to this country from China at age 11 and worked his way through the University of Arizona, speaks faultless English with no trace of an accent. Most of the television reporters view the proceedings from a monitor set up in a corridor outside the court. Garcia's father, the career Army sergeant who had advised him to confess, was not present. 4 members of the Buddhist Temple murder sat in the second row. The delegation consisted of a man and 3 women. As Garcia read his statement, the 3 women appeared on the brink of tears. I guess that's it for that article. I was there. I was in 6-1 with Alex Garcia, and I was next door neighbors with Jonathan Duty. He used to call me Shorty. Dang. Like, I was gone, but I was already in prison by that time. So my knowledge of the specifics, I had not read that before. Matter of fact, I had recorded a video reading another one on the anniversary, a piece that was done on the anniversary of that, and I started to speak on my relationship to them in that. When I stumbled upon this one, I started to do this one, and I stopped because I was like, because it was that letter, and it took me there, man. Like, I'm 16. I got transferred August 19th on my sister's birthday. I get to Madison Street Jail on the 20th after midnight. The sheriffs come pick me up. I'm on closed custody, and they let me out because all of us all those of us there, we had violent crimes, or like some were just such repeat offenders. Like Lil Ricky had so many car thefts that, he was already on adult probation. And then he ended up going to prison. But there was my case. There was Joker, Saavedra, him and Boo Boo stabbed and killed that lady. Said they over the Oreo cookies, they ate Oreo cookies or whatever, and Baby T from Casa Grande from they put him on West Side City in there. He had a brutal rape and murder of an elderly woman. There was there was quite a few of us in there, you know what I mean? And but Duty's my neighbor, and Garcia's in the next spot. We're in lockdown, and so like those two had no contact. They were not allowed to have no visible contact. So like when one was out, they would cover the windows of the other. When he was in the cell, they would cover the windows. When the other would come out, so they couldn't see each other. They couldn't communicate at all. And I just seen Garcia at the window coming out, you know what I mean? Cause I'll flip him off, realize to talk shit to him, fuck with him. And then like, those of us that were in the pod with Duty, we were cool. He, you know what I mean? Like, he was just an annoying motherfucker, man. He used to get on my nerves. And banging on my wall and she used to call me Shorty. Hey, Shorty, the accent and shit. And they'll start calling me and shit when I be on the phone, wanting me to do 3-ways and shit, be fucking, man, I'll start banging. Shit. So I used to break them off with fucking moon pies, just like them chocolate moon pies, that motherfucker. He got me eating them motherfuckers, man. And then, I forgot the blood's name. He was next to me, something Mac. I forgot his name. Man, I forgot the blood homie name. But the way those walls angled like that into brick, we had that little corner one out, and and he could sing, like he had like a Aaron Neville angelic kind of voice, and I just lay there and fall asleep. And then I had Duty on the other side and shit, you know what I mean? And we used to talk like, and the thing was like with Duty, I remember he used to come out in the pod, and he used to he was always talking about guns and shit. And I used to tell him, hey bro, on slides, tell him, hey bro, you shouldn't do that, man, because like that shit could be used against you in court. You know what I mean? Like you be a little too excited about talking about guns and shit. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, man. They should both be getting out, to my knowledge, because with that changing of the laws and juveniles not being not being able to sentence juveniles to life anymore, there's been a few who've gotten out already from here that I know of. From them juvenile cases, a lot of people have gotten play. But yeah, they fall into that category where they'll get out, and you know those are the specifics of that case. And 91, that's a long years, man. I don't know, you know, I have not seen either of them since then. Since I was actually in the pod with Garcia when I got transferred from the county jail to the Rincon Miners Unit. Cause for some strange reason they need him. Well, somebody was fucking up. Somebody was going to lockdown. They needed a bed, and I was being rolled up to leave anyway, so they moved me into that pod. Matter of fact, I was next to the homie Tino. And Garcia was upstairs at the time. And I hit the miners. That's a whole other story. That whole trail right there. I'll tell that on another video. When I met Die Hard from there in Brotherhood. I take you on the trip, man. I take you on, on a peaceful trip. Try to gather some reports up and give more background to what I'm talking about, not be just, you know what I mean, so people understand the relation that I have to what I'm talking about. You know what I mean, and why what I'm saying is so meaningful to any child, man. Especially if you're in a gang and you're going through that, because look, what are you gonna tell me? Like, you can't tell me no difference. I'm not that dude that's gonna be at church when you locked up in the juvenile halls and the OG that comes in there with the church people. I'm not him, bro. Obviously not. But, I mean, I'm out.